Good to see y'all back here. Thanks for joining me again on another woods walk. It's Christmas Eve. Honoring this time of year the best way that I know how. Come out here because I connect with something timeless. I mean, look at this. It's hard to tell on the camera, but yeah, I can feel all of this. That burst of sunshine. And try to put something into perspective that I hear come up a lot. Something we all encounter, but maybe we need a new way to frame it. Suppose that is the subject of modern day religion. In my counseling sessions, as well as in my personal life, the topic comes up a lot. Even if you're not religious, you're probably someone that's like, oh, I'm spiritual. Or you're an atheist. Or you have the observation and the intuition that something's missing today. Maybe you have the thought that religion is a healthy tool, but it needs to be updated. Whatever your thoughts about religion are, I want to take a step back, zoom out, put things into a broader perspective so we know the map that we're working with. Back in ancient Egypt, they used to have these things called mystery schools. This is during a time when science and religion hadn't been invented yet. Certainly hadn't become separated. Another way to phrase this is that, I think Jung maybe put it this way: archaic man could not separate the outer worlds from the inner world. In other words, what they experienced on the inside, they projected to the outside. This is essentially the pattern that eventually became astrology. It may also explain Bigfoot. The Egyptian world got dominated by Greece, which then got dominated by Rome. So the ancient Egyptian god Thoth, who was the bringer of wisdom, knowledge, writing, astronomy, mathematics, engineering, agriculture, the list goes on. Their god Thoth became the Greek god Hermes, who then became the Greek god Mercurius. Essentially, all three are the same thing. They are all perception personified. So as the Greco-Roman world dominated Egypt and absorbed it into their ideology, their civilization, their thinking, their way of life, the mystery schools ended up taking new form. The mystery was divided into two mysteries: the lesser mysteries and the higher mysteries. If we take Greece as an example, the lesser mysteries were generally open to anybody. Men, women, slaves. These lesser mysteries had to do with symbols, narratives, outer images, beliefs. The greater mysteries were reserved for knowledge, experience. As Western civilization continued to develop, the lesser mysteries became what we call religion today. And the greater mysteries went underground. In varying systems of symbolic ritual and symbolic language, The truths that were hidden in the greater mysteries were preserved by secret societies. Why were they secret? Well, the church, which maintained the imagistic and symbolic structures that ordered the civilization, that controlled the masses, that stabilized the masses, the subject matters of the higher mysteries were dangerous to the structures that upheld the lesser mysteries. Whereas the lesser mysteries stabilized civilization, the knowledge contained in the higher mysteries comes with the risk of destabilizing civilization. The knowledge contained by the greater mysteries has taken on a lot of forms. Esoteric Kabbalah, Gnosticism, Hermeticism, alchemy, Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism. Whereas the lesser mysteries are a map and a belief structure designed to stabilize civilization, the greater mysteries contained symbols that reflected the experienced and learned wisdom gained by individuals who were ready to begin the inward journey to God rather than seeking it externally. The difference between those two paths is that the external God is a noun, whereas the pursuit of the internal God is a verb. So let's look at an example of the greater mysteries. Long ago, ancient Greece, you had something referred to as the mysteries of Eleusis. When I first discovered the mysteries of Eleusis, I was astounded that I had never come across these in any history textbook, no college classroom. The greater mysteries at Eleusis took place once every 4 years in Athens. And here, individuals that were selected because they were ready to receive the secret knowledge of the philosophers were allowed to participate. So the aspirants would gather in Athens, and they would set out on a 14-mile walk overnight to Eleusis on the coastline. All along their walk, this ancient lineage of priests would put on a spectacle, a drama, with lights and sounds from the grassy fields, the hillsides, reenacting their myth of Demeter, the nature goddess, and her daughter Persephone. So per the mythology, Persephone gets tricked into going to the underworld to live with Hades. Hades keeps her down there. So her mother, Demeter, goes out looking for her. After her search doesn't bear any fruit, she settles herself by a well at Eleusis, and in mourning for her daughter, she cries a tear that falls down the well. That tear travels into the underworld and reaches Hades. So Persephone strikes a deal with Hades that she'll spend part of her remaining years above ground with her mother and part of her time below ground in the underworld with Hades. So the aspirants get to Eleusis and they gather around a well, and they're all served this drink called kykeon, which ancient writers say was a mixture of barley, mint, and rye. After they consume this beverage, they go underground for the evening in a chamber called the Telesterion. Now what happens in that chamber is a mystery. Initiates were sworn to secrecy. but writings from history allude to many high-name figures participating in these rituals. Plato, Cicero, Pythagoras, Plutarch, guess anyone whose name began with P. They all say the same thing, that they felt transformed. They felt that they had died before they died, and that they were reborn, no longer afraid of death. If you're going to guess that what they drank by the well that night was drugs, you'd be right. Back when this was going on, the Irarian plains that were by Eleusis would have contained the barley and the rye upon which ergot grows. It's a particular rust that grows on plant material like that. And it's also the substance from which LSD is derived. Psychedelics, with the goal of achieving a higher state of consciousness, do play a factor in the subjective journey. This tradition went on for, I think, about 1600 years, starting around 1300 BC and ending by the hand of Roman Emperor Constantine, or maybe it was Theodosius, in the year 300-ish. Again, going off the top of my head. So religion is not the complete story. It's a very low resolution, partial truth. The process that was the goal of the greater mysteries is not explicitly an epiphenomena of initiation to those mysteries. You go through this, you can go through this yourself. Depends on the way that you respond to addiction, trauma, suffering. How does this play into conspiracy theorist style thinking? Well, it doesn't substantiate a grand conspiracy theory, even though at its surface it looks that way. One way to phrase it would be that something that predates Egypt is at odds or is causing friction with something that extends from Rome.